Welcome on the presentation Electrosmog Prevented, where we look on protection against non-ionizing radiation from the risk analysis perspective. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Martin Matulik, and for 12 years now I'm involved in topics around biological effects of non-ionizing radiation. Last 4 years I have work experience with emerging technologies in the risk assurance department. And why have I started to deal with electrosmog? First, it was pretty complex topic and I was dedicated to find the truth. Then I wanted to share my knowledge so we all can effectively reap the benefits of modern technologies without unnecessary adverse health effects. Okay, so electromagnetic fields are an integral part of modern life. They emerge from electronic devices, wireless communication, household wirings, and so on. We should be concerned about protection from electromagnetic fields because of the potential health risks that are associated with them. And the goal of this presentation is to provide insights and practical advice for effective protection against harmful effects of non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation. Let's look into biological context where these adverse effects arise. Electromagnetic fields can have biological effects that may result in adverse health effects when body compensatory mechanisms are overwhelmed by biological effects of electromagnetic fields or other stressful agents. We know that non-ionizing radiation can harm genetic material and lead to mutations. Electromagnetic fields can also increase oxidative stress by many ways. We know that excessive reactive oxygen species production leads to inflammation and cellular damage. Free radicals may damage DNA, cellular membrane, or neural tissue. Within the summary of risk analysis, we can see sources of electromagnetic radiation. For each source or device, I have assigned impact and likelihood, which gives us risk level. We have mitigation stage, where I have proposed protective measures, which gives us risk level after mitigation. We can see that most risks can be very effectively decreased to the level where we can fully accept them. Protective principles should provide us most value for the least effort. This should be based on precautionary principle. Practically, we can use the TIFANE rule, which is acronym for timely, far, and necessary. We can use the devices for as little time as possible, be as far as possible, and have activated only the functions that we absolutely need. With this knowledge, let's look into particular protection measures for the 10 most risky technologies. We can place mobile phones as far as possible from critical structures, from the head or genitals. We can also turn phone off or have it on airplane mode before going to sleep. It is good to make phone calls on the speakerphone or at least through wired headphones. It also helps if we call only at full signal. When using computers, we can increase our distance, for example, having a laptop on the desk despite its name. And when we are using it for offline activities, just turn off Wi-Fi. And for internet, prefer a wired internet connection. It also helps to have wired connection of peripherals like mouse or keyboard. Wi-Fi router can be turned off when not in use. It is also good to have a low power model, which not only reduces exposure, but also can save us significant money. When we use headphones, it's better to use wired ones. If you can prefer a speaker, it's a bit safer for no costs. If we have children, we might use wireless nanny to monitor them. Preferably, we should visit them personally, and alternatively, we can use wired transmission via webcam connected to computer in other room. Let's move into the healthcare. When we have dentist appointment, we might be offered multiple variants of dental fillings. It is best to avoid metallic ones, and I would personally prefer dental filling from photocomposite material. When we are considering dental braces, the most safe are foil braces, which are also most expensive. Let's move to emerging technologies. From the older new technology, there is smart meter. If we can, it's better to use a classic analog meter with a wired connection. If we need to use smart meter, I would choose smart meter with sporadic batch data transmission. From the truly emerging technologies, we might focus on head-mounted displays for virtual or augmented reality. These are near critical structures. We are wearing them on the head for prolonged time, and they have very complex fields. So any protective measures are double as important as with any other technology. First, we can turn off Wi-Fi if we don't use it. We can also turn off background updates for times when we need to be connected to Wi-Fi. With turning off background updates, there comes responsibility for regularly updating device manually. Some headsets support wireless connection to computer, but I would prefer using a long cable. If it has 3 meters or more, I don't mind that it's connected through cable. There still will be some biological effects happening, so we can help our body to compensate them by vitamin prophylaxis. So we will take vitamins, and we can increase our safety most by reducing the length of use and taking regular breaks. Let's move into living and residency. It's great to check the surroundings for sources of electromagnetic fields when we are moving to a new place. We can look around for how many mobile tower base stations can we see. Also, how many high voltage lines or transformer stations, and are there any heavy industries or factories? We can also use our smartphone to find out number of Wi-Fi networks that it can connect to. When we are building a house, we can achieve most in the project phase. We can plan low emission electrical wirings, which could include shielded wires, stir-cut break-offs, and also specialized stir-cut with power switch for bedroom. If we are very sensitive to electromagnetic fields, we might consider as remote location as practical for us. If we are living in a city, we can consider minor adjustments like using shielding foil for windows or shielding net for bed. Let's move to automobility. We should use only the necessary electronics, especially for longer journeys. Basic system needs to be always activated. We usually activate additional systems as we need them, like GPS navigation or assistance functions. We can turn off premium services when we not actively use them. What we can do in any car is making phone calls outside after driving. When we are buying a car, it's best to prefer a model with only the systems that I need. If we plan to purchase an electric car, let's consider models with an emission-free internal combustion engine. Let's look how implementing protective measures can bring benefits and improve our corporate responsibility. Extended protection of employees and customers can mitigate health damage and legal liability risks. We can start by forecasting the development of product safety standards. Practically, we can achieve this by ensuring product safety by design. Adhering to established safety standards is a good starting point. It can be further enhanced by deploying devices with the highest protection settings for increasing the electromagnetic compatibility and also improving electromagnetic safety by default. We can also embed shielding of transmitter electronics to achieve electromagnetic safety by design, which is by far the most efficient measure. This is especially important for devices where nearby critical structures for prolonged time, like head-mounted displays and smartphones. We may design shielding of transmitter electronics in a way that the side facing our head is shielded, but the radiation goes in other directions outside the body. By using both approaches, we can implement the ALARA principle in a way that proves that the company truly cares about customers. Overall, enhancing employee and customer safety can yield benefits to all stakeholders. Now let's focus on effective protection during various life stages. If we would simplify it, then the older we are, more relaxed approach we can have, but more specific measures we might need in context of our lifestyle or medical conditions. Let's start from the beginning in the prenatal development. During pregnancy, it's very important to minimize all stressors, including electromagnetic radiation. This means no device on the belly in the first place. We should carry smartphone in knee pocket. The smartphone should be online only for emergencies and necessary communication. It would also help us to scrutinize surroundings for electromagnetic sources for places where we spend most of the time. During the childhood, we can teach healthy EMF habits as a game. We can use storytelling for that, for example, that there are good valves which make candy and bad valves, and the longer we use electronic devices like phone or computer, the longer the bad valves may do bad things, preventing good valves from cooking candy. It's important to limit wireless exposure by family rules. And if we have multiple networks, we can set active hours on Wi-Fi router so that each network is active only when needed. During productive age, once we establish the protective measures that help us most and incorporate them into our daily routine, then we can consider benefit risks only occasionally, when we have new devices or when we are in new situation. For the workplace, we might consider electromagnetic fields as one factor when considering new job. If we work in office, we might prefer remote or hybrid arrangement. If we work in field, good starting point is using protective equipment and shielded devices if they are available. We can further support our bodies to mitigate the consequences of biological effects by vitamin prophylaxis, for example, drinking green tea with lemon or vitamin C before going to work, and compensate it afterwards by physical exercise in clean environment, both clean air and low electromagnetic load. If we are retiring passively, I would consider EMF measures only if needed. So for example, if we cannot sleep, it might be wise to turn off Wi-Fi to improve sleep quality and place electronic equipment as far as reasonable, but I wouldn't go any far beyond that. The greatest thing we can do is enjoy small pleasures. Let's now move into executive summary. And let's start by forecasting risks for imaging technologies based on what we have learned. We know that our digital landscape keeps expanding, continually increasing our exposure to non-ionizing radiation. Emerging technologies present new challenges. Therefore, updated guidelines should protect us from forecasted risks. Epidemiological studies take 10 and more years. Therefore, I perceive proactive electromagnetic protection is essential to safeguard our well-being. All these hurdles could be effectively solved by proactive risk management based on ALARA and precautionary principle. This would be much more efficient in the long-term perspective, and it would save significant costs to all stakeholders. Particularly, countries would benefit from enhanced public health, which would result in significantly lower healthcare costs and increased productivity. Regulators would have very powerful regulatory framework, which would be simple, transparent, effective and applicable for future technologies. Companies can benefit from reduced risk of device recalls, frequent regulatory changes and litigations. They will also fulfill corporate responsibility towards employees and customers in this area. As citizens, if we implement individual protective measures, we will experience improved health and longer life in higher quality, as we will have reduced risks of chronic diseases, and we can also have peace of mind that we have done everything that we could. So as we've seen, electromagnetic fields are an inseparable part of our lives. Therefore, it's essential to stay updated on current knowledge and practice safety measures for minimizing exposure to electromagnetic fields. And last, let's look at most effective tips for improving our electromagnetic safety with the least effort. The 7 quick wins start with practicing TIFANE rule, timely, far, necessary. Spending as least time in electromagnetic fields as possible, being as far from electronic devices as convenient, and using only necessary functions. Ensure refreshing sleep by limiting cell phone use and avoiding blue light sources 1 hour before bedtime. We can further improve it by disabling electronics like smartphone, Wi-Fi router, laptop, and cables by switch. When calling, use speaker mode and call outside vehicles. Regularly check your surroundings for electromagnetic radiation sources. Prefer dental fillings with photocomposite material and also safer technologies, which is using cable connection over wireless, and also mechanical devices which are more safe than analog electronics, which is more safe than digital electronics. Help your body to mitigate biological effects by supplementing vitamins and regularly exercising in low EMF location with clean air. We can leverage these 7 quick tips to massively improve our protection against harmful effects of electromagnetic fields for like 3 or 4 minutes per day. I believe information in this presentation will help you to live healthier and happier life, and thank you for your attention.